This is Commander Overview. In this episode, Jadwiga, the only Cav Garrison we have. In this video, we'll go over talents, skills, use cases, and good pairings for Jadwiga. Without further ado, let's get started. Jadwiga is in a weird spot right now. I think she's really solid, but she doesn't have a true cavalry garrison commander to go with her, so she kind of falls through the cracks. Her first skill is pretty solid, just 1500 damage to a direct target, and then a 20% increased damage. So when you pair her with an AoE commander, that AoE is going to do 20% more, which is nice. However, that initial skill only hits whatever is targeting it first, so that kind of stings. Her second skill gives 10% defense and march speed, which is nice because one of my biggest complaints as a garrison commander is I can't get in the buildings fast enough because it is hard to get around a lot of enemy troops, and when you city hop, it's hard to fit in when the garrison's already 3/4 of the way full to get swapped into lead. So that extra march speed's nice for getting away from people. But what's really nice in this skill is the 20% defense and 20% health, which are the stats you want for a garrison commander. I mean, that 20% health is among one of the best skills in the game passively, stat-wise. Third, she has a flat 10% skill damage taken reduction, which I would rather be just flat damage taken reduction, but skill damage is still solid. And then a 5% damage to archers at a cost from 5% more received from infantry. This doesn't seem to affect trades too much from what I've seen, but it is it feels like a weird in-between skill. Finally, in terms of main skills, a 10% increased skill damage, and when this march takes skill damage, they gain 50 rage per second for 3 seconds, so you get 150 rage whenever you hit for skills. But this can only be triggered once every 8 seconds, which means if you're getting swarmed, you're not getting more than one trigger every 8 seconds, which is what you're going to get when hitting by a rally anyway. So you don't do terribly great against swarm. Finally, her passive for her expertise gives a 10% increase in damage, which is nice. I like flat damage increases. And then when an active skill is used, you take 10% less damage. Again, a flat damage reduction, which is nice. This is where she really shines, because it doesn't seem like a lot until that first skill pops off, and then it feels amazing. This march, if you run a march with Jadwiga in a garrison, can feel so tanky sometimes, especially in forts and passes. Next, we'll go over talents. You'll notice that these talents are pretty similar garrison to garrison, because skills like impregnable, impenetrable fortifications, and Kingsguard are all very solid, because they're just, 2 of them are straight damage reductions, and 1 is just a straight attack defense health. One thing you'll notice with Jadwiga, Saving Cross is amazing, a 9% skill damage taken reduction. I mean, it's incredibly solid, and you'll notice the results when you use it. And Blast and Shield's good too, again a 12% damage reduction. So between this and her skills, she ends up taking like 30-35% less damage. And then when you pop off with her skill and then you have her expertise, that goes down even further. I like having Undying Fury because normal attacks grant additional 9 rage. I believe the way the wording was, normal attacks include counterattacks, not just straight up normal attacks. So when you get swarmed, this does help a little bit. Additional 9% damage, you're going to lean into the doing more damage to archers. And then a 10% chance to reduce attack by 20%. It doesn't sound that great, but a 20% dip in attack when somebody has plus 180% attack isn't down to 160. It's more like down to 146 or 144. So it is more significant the higher attack gets. And most archer sets are pretty attack heavy, so that really actually is a lot more significant than it seems on the surface. So now we're on to where Jadwiga shines. Jadwiga shines better the more troops you have. And that's partially because the extra skill damage is based on troop count. So you got extra skill damage on top of a higher troop count. It makes her hit harder and harder. This is kind of a small example just because it was early on. But there's a perfect example right here from a different Jadwiga user, where even with infantry, you win the trade just because one, Yi Sin is unspoken as one of the best commanders for just large troop numbers because he fits mixed troops very, very well. But also because Jadwiga does so good with larger numbers, she can almost take on most infantry marches one-on-one. And she definitely holds her own on cavalry, and she almost always wins against archers. So she's really solid in a lot of places, and I think she would be a lot more utilized if she were not the only cavalry garrison commander. If we had another Cav special garrison commander, I think she would be right up there with Zenobia on terms of how often she's talked about. The one thing I will make note of, though, is the more she gets swarmed, the less effective she becomes. So if you could support her with an AoE commander or a commander that does better when surrounded by multiple troops, it would also probably help. But there aren't a lot of those available in a defensive capacity. So I would love to see that in the future if Lilith decides to release another cavalry commander that's garrison based. Just have something that helps boost her anti-swarm capabilities. Here's another example of Jadwiga as a garrison commander in a flag. And you'll see quite often, actually, surprisingly, she is able to beat out infantry head-to-head. And even though they did have a slight troop disadvantage, even the power ratio loss is much more significant. Next, we're going to go over pairings. Honestly, Jadwiga doesn't have a lot of good pairings, and that's why we don't talk about her a lot. I like Yi Sin. He's always a good option. I mean, he's like the hot sauce of garrisons. You could put him anywhere and he's going to do well, as long as you have more than one troop type. Saladin is a great option, just because skill-wise he provides increased defense, march speed, reduced skill damage. 30% is a lot, and 20% reduced counterattack damage is also impressive. And then 15% damage to garrison doesn't do you a lot. But this skill right here is just so good. And it helps too that his first skill reduces march speed and healing effects. So when you do hit somebody, and you do hit a rally, the march speed doesn't do a lot, but the healing effects is going to pay dividends if you have anything that heals often. So Saladin makes a great option if you don't have Yi Sin, or if you're split between two garrisons and you need Yi Sin for a different garrison. Saladin is awesome, really underrated, I think really underappreciated, and even for being around as long as he has, I think people don't talk about him enough. Last, but certainly not least, we have the equipment. This equipment's a little, not quite as good as my Theodora equipment, but one of the things I want to point out is how much cavalry health is accessible in the legendary gear between Navar's, Ash of Dawn, the Wasteland set, and the Wasteland chess piece is the next thing I'm working on. And it's, again, health-based. There's so much health you could pick up for Jadwiga that it makes her even more solid. I think still, given the fact that I don't have all the legendaries built, the amount of stats I've got is pretty impressive, but I still have a lot of work to do on this set. I do think that Heart of the Saint is one of the best cavalry weapons, especially for the value, so I'm not too worried about keeping this long term. But you definitely want to try to stack as much defense and health as possible, because she already has the skill damage, she already has the skill damage reduction, so if you can reduce that skill damage taken even further by building up health and defense, that'll do wonders for you in the long run. And with that we conclude our discussion on Jadwiga. Hopefully this helped you kind of shed some light on what Jadwiga is and what she can be if she's given a proper garrison pair. If you like this video, give it a like so I know, and if you want to see more, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a Rise of Kingdoms video. And as always, good luck, fight well, and I will see you on the battlefield.